Hey everyone. Today I'm going to be ranking the Indiana Jones movies, and I realize I'm a little late to the game on this because the movie's already been out in theaters for a couple weeks, but I had other videos I wanted to do first, so here I am. As always, spoiler alert, although I won't spoil the new one. I have not seen the Young Indiana Jones Chronicles. I intend to start that very soon, but it just hasn't happened yet. Starting off, my number 5 is Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. The ranking of this movie might not be surprising to you, but here's something that might be surprising. I actually think this one's pretty good.
Сукин сын! Он уходит! Быстрее, быстрее! This is crazy! Somebody's gonna get hurt!
It's not great, but I don't think it's awful either. It's not like we have to pretend this movie doesn't exist because it's so bad. And honestly, the people who think that, you are boring to me. The people who act like a movie doesn't exist because it's so bad. Like, no! Acknowledge that The Last Airbender exists so we can shit on it together. That's more fun. Cate Blanchett in this movie got some flack for having a cartoony sounding Russian accent, except the problem is that she's not doing a Russian accent, she's doing a Ukrainian accent. They literally spell out that her character is Ukrainian. I have heard people from both countries speak in their native accents and they do not sound the same. Similar, but not the same. And now, I have heard conflicting reports on the quality of her accent. I have heard from one person who I think was Ukrainian that her accent just sounded kind of generic Eastern European and didn't really sound all that any closer to Ukrainian than it was to Russian. But I have heard from someone else who I know is Ukrainian that it actually sounds pretty accurate to a Ukrainian accent. So I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt and say it was pretty good. Shia LaBeouf in this movie, I think he was pretty good. Honestly, my main problem with this movie is the CGI, and I don't mind that they added CGI, because there are some things that are better done with CGI, just like there are some things that are better done practically. My problem is that the CGI just isn't that good. Like when Mutt is swinging through the trees, that doesn't look very good, and there are some others. However, I will defend Mutt swinging through the trees as a whole, one, because it's hilarious, and 2, because it's a little bit awesome. Just a little bit. 3, because all the way back in the first movie, when Indy and Marion find that monkey, and before the monkey turns out to be a double agent. Remember that? They're treating the monkey like it's their child. And now, in the 4th movie, their actual child is swinging through the trees with monkeys. It has come full circle, and I kind of love that. And honestly, a lot of the problems in this movie can just be attributed to George Lucas's increased involvement. Like, he had more creative control in this one than in the first 3, and that's a big part of it. I do love the hell do you call it? The combine harvester thing with the big saw blades on the front. I have a Lego set of that at my old house. It was an awesome Lego set. I will tell you that much. Like, when it has little wheels under the saw blades so that when you push it forward, the blades turn. It's very cool. But anyway, so that thing was cool. I love that Indy is still employing the Indy ploy, which is just making it up as you go. That's literally the name of the TV trope.
I'm going after that truck.
How?
I don't know. I'm making this up as I go.
Like, he climbs into the back of the truck. What's he gonna do next? I don't think he plans that far ahead. Pops back up with an RPG-7. I'd cover my ears if I were you. on the other hand, the plot is even more just go with it than the first 3 movies. There are a lot... I wouldn't say there are plot holes. It's just more of a stretch and more contrived conveniences. And yeah, it's not great. My score is 3 out of 5. Number 4 is The Dial of Destiny. This one is still not great, but it's a big step up. So, thank you, James Mangold. This movie's just so good. My one kind of big complaint with it is that it feels like it's just a little too long. Not so much that I was checking my watch every 5 minutes, but just enough that I was kind of thinking, okay, this is dragging a little bit. I love Helena as this new foil for Indy. And people are complaining, people have all these weird complaints about her, and she's a Mary Sue, and all the other standard bullshit that comes with that. But here's the thing. I saw someone on Twitter, I'm not finding it because I'd have to scroll back way too far. But someone on Twitter had pointed out all of like the main complaints against Helena, and then pointed out that the other 3 primary female characters in the movies, Marion, Willie, and Elsa, every bad thing people have said about Helena applies to one of the 3, or more. The difference is that Helena doesn't fuck Indy. That's it. Oh, and also, because it was released in this modern day, where right-wing assholes get butthurt about these kind of characters. I love Helena. I love that she's not just along for the ride. She's not just helping Indy. She has her own agenda, and sometimes that involves working against Indy. I love that. I love seeing a little extra conflict in there, and it feels natural based on what we learn about her as a character and the development that she goes through.
You think he'd be proud of this? Your father, his only daughter, selling her soul for bail money.
Sounds quite rude, you like that.
And it's not all bail money. Some of it's gambling debts and some...
Teddy.
Elena! No! Elena! How did you end up like this?
What do you mean? Resourceful, daring, beautiful, self-sufficient.
As much as I would have liked to see Shia LaBeouf return, I understand that he's got some shit going on. I don't know all the details, but I'm guessing he's probably better off just staying out of the spotlight for a while. But I do like what they did with his character. Like, I wouldn't say they redeemed him, because I never hated him to begin with, but I like what they did with his character. The technical aspects are all on point. The CGI is a big step up from Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. Okay, I hate that this movie cost $300 million, because that just makes it that much harder for it to make back its budget. However, considering how good the opening sequence looks, especially the digital de-aging for Indy, I can see where some of that $300 million went. I still don't think that they needed $300 million. They honestly probably could have pulled it off with $200 million. But, you know what? It's fine. It's whatever. And I won't spoil it, but I absolutely love where they went with the climax. They didn't do it in exactly the way I thought they would, but they went there, and I love it. And same with the villain's motivation. Like, they kind of spelled out the villain's basic motivation in the trailers. Like, they kind of spelled out his overall goal. But there are aspects of his goals that they left out of the trailers that I did not see coming. I did not see coming. Ha ha ha. I love what they did with him. And Mads Mikkelsen is always a treasure. My score is 3.5 out of 5. Number 3 is The Temple of Doom. I understand the controversy surrounding this movie, the potential racism that could be seen in certain portrayals of certain cultures. I completely understand that. There are aspects of it that, yes, are certainly dated. There are other aspects that have enough room for interpretation that they might not be that. Like the dinner scene. I don't think it's the trope of, oh, these wacky foreigners, they eat weird shit. I think it was invoked. Or, okay, rather, I don't think it was the filmmakers doing that. I think it was the characters invoking that trope to scare off outsiders. It's like, oh, shit, okay, we can't have these people visiting, but we can't just kick them out. We can't be rude, because then they'll suspect something. So let's serve them dinner, but let's serve them some really weird shit that we are willing to eat, but, you know, that we don't eat very often. But these people are going to think it's foreign and scary, and they'll be grossed out and they'll want to leave. So, break out the bugs, break out the monkey brains, the eyeballs in the soup, and the snake filled with eels. Anywho, this is still a damn great movie. I low-key love Willy. I'm a fan of belligerent sexual tension when it's done right. And in this movie, I think it was done right. Like, this is best shown in the scene where she and Indy are both in their rooms, each waiting for the other to come to them. But both of their egos won't let them be the one who goes across the hall to the other. So they're at an impasse. I love that. Willy is the only one who has an ego as big as, like, look, as much as I love Indiana Jones, he is very much an anti-hero, and he has a decent-sized ego. Willy is like the only woman in Indy's life who has an ego that's as big as his or bigger. And so here he has finally met his match in that regard.
Palace Slave.
Nocturnal activities.
I'm a conceited ape?
I'll tell you in the morning.
I can't believe it.
He's not coming.
She's not coming.
I honestly kind of love that. And yes, she is annoying sometimes, only sometimes. Most of the time, I didn't mind. The action is not the best in the franchise, but it's still very good. The minecart sequence is like one of the most iconic action sequences of all time for good reason. It's ridiculous. It fully rides on rule of cool to work, but it's awesome. And I will always love the scene on the bridge where Indy is surrounded and he has nowhere to go. So he tells Shorty, grab the bridge.
Shorty! Chao Chi! Lapsu Tsangza!
And just goes for it. I love that so much. Like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm taking you assholes with me. And yeah, Indy is such a bad... And I love that look for him. He's down to his undershirt. One of his sleeves has been ripped off. He is drenched in sweat. This is not like your pristine action hero whose clothes are never dirty and whose hair is always perfect. It is not one of those situations. Even Willy gets dirty from all this shit. I love it. There's realism there. For all the fantastical shit going on, there's some realism to it. I love it. My score is 4 out of 5. Number 2 is The Last Crusade. This movie is, like, nearly perfect. I have no big complaints at all. Just like a bunch of tiny ones that all add up to not quite perfect. Apparently, Indiana Jones was partially created because Steven Spielberg really wanted to make a James Bond movie, so this was like the next best thing for him. So when it came to cast Indy's father, he's like, okay, it has to be James Bond. So they got Sean Connery. And oh my god, what perfect casting. And honestly, River Phoenix as young Indy, I don't know if he was perfect. Maybe there could have been someone who played the role better. but he was pretty damn great for what little screen time he got. One of my small complaints is the contrived coincidence that all of Indy's major character quirks came about from this one sequence of events. His fear of snakes, his chin scar, which is just a scar that Harrison Ford has in real life, his hat. I do find it contrived that all of that came about in his first adventure. But you know what? It was still fun to see, and I love the bait and switch when we see the guy who gives him the hat from behind, and we're like, oh, it's Indy! Nope, it's not Indy, it's someone else. The novelization of this movie confirms that Indy was born in 1899. So in Dial of Destiny, which is in 1969, the man is 70 years old. And Harrison Ford is 80. I honestly think Harrison Ford doesn't look a day over 70. So, good on you, man. Back to Last Crusade, sorry. The one area where this movie is perfect is as a final chapter in this trilogy. It brings many things full circle. It literally ends with our heroes riding off into the sunset, which is so cliche, but also just done so well, and it feels so earned, so it works. And this movie is also a perfect example of Steven Spielberg knowing exactly how much to show. When they show up at the Nazi rally, you hear a punch sound effect, and then you see Indy emerge from behind a car, adjusting the hat of his German uniform. We don't need to see him knock the dude out. All we need is to hear the punches and then see him emerge in the uniform. The action sequences. Sweet salty Christ. 10 bonus points if you get that reference. The action sequences in this movie are the best of the original trilogy. The dogfight has a lot more realism than you might expect. For one, it's the biplane against the two single-wing Nazi fighters. Because the Nazi planes are able to fly so much faster, it means Indy can't outrun them, but it does mean that the Nazi planes have to make these wide banking turns, because when you're moving slower, you can turn in a smaller circle. In the movie American Made, once the Coast Guard upgrades from propeller planes to jets, they can outrun the smugglers, so the smugglers pull back on the throttle and just fly at the minimal cruising speed. Because as Tom Cruise's character puts it,
they could go fast, but we could go slow. For a long time.
That's basically this. Indy and his father are in the more maneuverable aircraft. Really, the only thing that sets them back is the fact that Henry Jones Sr. is not used to being in this kind of situation. He doesn't know how to lead his target, and he ends up shredding the tail fin by accident. I love the creative ways that they take out the Nazi planes. Going around the corner and into the tunnel was a little contrived, but it looks cool, so who cares? Henry Jones Sr. First of all, I've always loved this, and they spell this out in the novelization, but it's visible in the movie. When he takes his umbrella from Indy, he pulls it out with like a flourish, like a knight drawing his sword, and just freaks out the birds.
I suddenly remembered my Charlemagne. Let my armies be the rocks and the trees and the birds in the sky.
But yeah, birds are a very real danger to aircraft in real life, so the movie gets points for that. And the tank, everything on the tank, I love. But I think my favorite moment is when Indy grabs one guy's, either the Luger or Walther P-38. I think the novelization says it's a Luger, but I don't know what it actually is in the movie. And there's three guys up in front of him, shoots the first one, and the bullet goes through all three. And he just looks at it in amazement like, what the hell? I love that so much. I love when after Elsa falls and Indy is about to meet the same fate, trying to grab the chalice, and Henry Sr. finally calls him Indiana, after calling him Junior for the whole movie. Dear God, my heart. It's such a heartwarming moment. Thank you, Steven. Thank you so much. Thank you for these movies. My score is 4.5 out of 5. Finally, my number 1 is Raiders of the Lost Ark. This movie is just so damn good. The whole opening sequence is just very iconic. And honestly, these movies' portrayal of archaeology is highly inaccurate to what archaeology is supposed to be. However, it is my understanding that it is a very accurate portrayal of what archaeology was like at the time. Like, there were a lot of so-called archaeologists who were basically just tomb raiders. I mean, hell, even Indy's goal is, I'm gonna put all this shit in a museum. Because I want people to see this shit, because this shit is dope. Which is probably why he's teaching this stuff in college, because he thinks it's awesome, and he wants to share this awesome thing with other people. But yeah, I mean, the whole opening sequence is so iconic. The fight against the German mechanic. The big, bald, shirtless dude. One of the best fist fights in any movie I've ever seen. I will always laugh at the moment where Indy distracts the dude like, whoa, what the hell is that? And the dude falls for it, so Indy kicks him in the dick. And it does nothing. In the novelization, after the kick does nothing, Indy is thinking to himself, I might as well have kicked a redwood. Which is honestly just even funnier. And I love that Marion isn't shy about getting violent when she has to. She sees the truck of soldiers approaching, she grabs the machine guns on the back of the flying wing and goes, brrrr, and Indy on the horse going after the convoy. I have that Lego set, by the way. It is awesome. That whole sequence is so awesome. And like the whole bit where Indy goes under the truck, hooks his whip, and then uses that to climb up. That the stuntman who performed that has all of my respect. Dear God, stunt people deserve to be treated better in this business. My score is 5 out of 5. Hey everyone, what's your ranking? Let me know down in the comments. Like and subscribe and all that. If you don't like the video, tell me why, try to be constructive. Then subscribe anyway, so you'll be notified when I upload new videos. And when that happens, watch those and then tell me why they suck. Or, you know, tell me where I've improved. Whatever the case may be. And also, before I go, I have a Patreon. The link has been in the description of my last several videos, and I have recently finally started uploading exclusive content to there. The first video is me going back and reacting to like the first 4 tribute videos I ever did, and like just discussing behind the scenes stuff and some of the creative process that went into it, and also aspects of them that hold up and aspects of them that don't. The next video I do is probably going to be another one of those, but I am going to have more variety eventually. This is just what I'm doing on there for now. So, if that interests you, subscribe to my Patreon. Yeah, it's only a few dollars. And, hell, you can even do less. I just have, like, 2 tiers. The first tier is just access to the exclusive videos. And then the next tier up is you can commission stuff. Because I will take requests if you can pay. If you want, I will take commissions to do requests for tribute videos. So pick a song, pick a franchise, and either write it out for me and send me that, or just, I don't know, we can figure out how we want to do it. So yeah, check that out if you're interested, or if not, you can just stick to YouTube, and that's fine. That's all for now. Stay safe in these crazy times.